Hi, everybody. This is Chris McCabe of e-commerce Chris. I'm here with Leah McHugh, and we're doing a series of videos because there's been one damn thing after another that's come up that's been a challenge for sellers. In brief, we've seen sellers mishandling cases with listing issues, listing compliance related.
We've also seen Amazon mishandling the same cases.
Yes. Well, in conjunction with Amazon mishandling it, we see two parties that are speaking past each other and just creating more friction, damage, and time is lost and revenue is lost. So I'm here with Leah to go over some of what we're seeing and I give you some ideas and some strategy on how to begin to solve them. So I guess the first pain point question is, what are you seeing that doesn't make sense that we've started jumping in and helping people out with?
So we're seeing a lot of conflicting information from Amazon's tools. For example, one of the cases I'm working on right now, depending on where you look in Seller Central, it gives you 3 different reasons for why that listing is blocked.
Yeah.
So what's happening is when we appeal the reason that we actually received a notification for, we then get a response back saying that that isn't the problem and that it's actually just, we just need to relist it, which doesn't work because we've obviously tried that.
Right. Nonsensical general copy and paste, probably by somebody who isn't trained in that area or took a 2-second look at it or read previous annotations and copied them. But sellers need to know what to do when that happens. I mean,
we've seen a lot of changes in Amazon's SOPs. Yeah. And I think in conjunction with that, we've also seen a lot of errors with their internal tools. So you have a combination of the people inside looking at incorrect information and also not knowing that they're now supposed to be doing this.
Yeah, and in terms of the why is this happening, I think sellers understand how confused and chaotic it is inside Amazon internal teams at this point. It's fairly widespread. A lot of people are transferring things around because it's, this isn't my job. This belongs to that team. And they come up with a use case justification for transferring it. And then maybe it gets transferred back because they say, no, this is not ours. You thought it was ours.
Well, what we're seeing is that they actually check the code and the SOP says, send it to this team, but nobody told that team that they're now supposed to be doing that. So then that team comes back and says, no, email this email, which doesn't actually work because that email is no longer in use.
And the idea that they would even suggest that you email an email address that's been deprecated is crazy.
For months, like not even recently deprecated. It has been gone for 5 months.
Yeah, it's frightening. But unfortunately, what people don't want to hear is that they have to sort these things out and explain to Amazonians how to do their jobs. But unfortunately, we've been doing that ourselves.
Right. And I realize none of this is very helpful for you. I just needed to vent. So now this is the helpful part.
This is the helpful part. We just wanted to lay out the situation.
So number 1 is just please make sure your listings are correct. And by correct, I mean the variations are in fact compliant variations. And also the listing content is not violating Amazon policies or laws. We're seeing a lot more enforcement around things like health claims, which makes sense because it's COVID. And we're also seeing enforcement around things like organic claims. So if you're saying that your product is made with organic blah, 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 you need to make sure that you're allowed to say that under USDA rules. And from my brief experience with this, the ingredients need to be at least 70% organic for you to say anything about it being organic other than on the ingredients list. Right. And it's the same with the health claims. If you're saying that something cures something or helps you fight the cold, you need to have actual FDA approval in order to say that. Otherwise, your listing is going to be taken down and potentially you could get fined by the FDA.
And don't just trust like a marketing person's word on this stuff. You need compliance expertise to be mixed into this equation, right? You need to rely on something. It's almost similar to trusting a non-lawyer for legal advice. Well, maybe that's not the best thing to do. Isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, there are FDA agents who can help you with this. I would highly recommend consulting them if you're making any sort of health claims, or if you think you're making a structure function claim. Again, I would be running that by a lawyer. But we're also seeing within that Amazon isn't really getting into the nitty gritty of that. I mean, a lot of the idea of what is a structure function claim versus what is a disease claim is fairly vague, that it's basically done on a case-by-case basis. And Amazon is not going to do that. So really just
They're not going to have a back and forth with you and
right. So
pick it
even
apart.
mentioning certain words is putting your account at risk. Like if you're actually naming specific diseases, the word immunity, we've been seeing a lot
Yes,
of
that's a good one to
enforcement
put in
around.
there.
That one
Immune
just
or
seems to be getting
immunity.
auto flagged because
Yeah.
again, COVID.
Yeah.
But it's a
And
lot
opening
easier to
tickets
fix
at
it
brand
before
registry. Well, I was just, yeah.
it's a
Go
lot
ahead.
easier to fix it before your listing gets blocked. And I know because I have this conversation every time that sales could go down because you're not using these words. And yes, that is true, but sales will definitely go down if your listing is blocked. And then you can't get the listing back up until the content is corrected, but you can't correct it while it's blocked. And then you get stuck in this loop where I have to email multiple teams.
Multiple teams. Just talk for a second and then we'll close it out on brand registries having all this stuff pushed their way and they're not really.
Yeah, no one seemed to have told brand registry that they're now in charge of this.
Yeah.
So if you have brand registry for your listing and your listing is blocked and you need to update the content, the only team that can update that content on the back end is brand registry. And even if you update it and it looks fine in the category listing report, you need to confirm by calling seller support. You need to confirm that those changes have been pushed through the back end because compliance are only looking at the back end.
And I think a lot of people are getting stuck in that part of the process and missing what's going on.
And if seller support come back and say it's a copyright claim, ignore that.
Ignore that.
Yeah. Unless you got a notification specifically stating copyright.
Right. Rights owners named, complaint ID, but there's even some confusion around that IP process, which we'll leave for another video. But thanks, Leah, for explaining that. Obviously, things you don't understand that you're encountering, you need them to run them by us. We're hanging out at e-commerce, Chris, waiting to hear from you. So check us out and talk to you soon.
Bye.
Bye.